episode number 46, a special episode here, not our regular scheduled programming, but honored today on this Friday before Father's Day weekend to have with us a researcher at ESPN, content producer on Get Up. He is Mr. Paul Hembo. How's it going, buddy?
It is going well. It's good to hear and see you guys, and I've been looking forward to this conversation. We played a little bit of phone tag the last few weeks, but I'm glad that we got a chance to nail this thing down and talk ball, especially on a Friday in June of all time. So what better time than the present?
Absolutely. Alongside me, as usual, my former co-host, former NFL tight end, Ben Troop. And ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, just wanted to remind you about Father's Day. As I said, our friends over at 1-800-Flowers.com get you the latest deals at 1-800-Flowers. You can use code 2996996. Last chance for those bouquets, those wreaths. Your father, whatever your father, the old man in your life enjoys, get it at 1-800-Flowers, our friends over there. And reminder, you can rate, review, subscribe to our podcast network, Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network. And the YouTube version of this channel, you can catch us, youtube.com/Tobacco Radio. Well, Hembo, let's just go and get into it, and we'll give you the floor. So tell us about ESPN, your time there, what you're doing right now. Obviously, reading your LinkedIn before this, there's obviously so much you do over there, but kind of give us in a nutshell kind of what you do at ESPN and what do you enjoy most about working there?
Sure. So you probably best know me as the content producer on Get Up who makes these zany faces once a day when we do a sneaky Hembo trivia question, which I deploy on our talent, some of whom nail them, some of whom very much do not. But that's one of the fun, sort of more, public facing things that I have the chance to do on a daily basis. But I'm also just a regular old TV producer. Every single day, I plug things into what we call a rundown, and we create magic on television 10 hours a week. I've been working with Mike Greenberg for 10 years. Going back to the Mike and Mike days, that's kind of how I cut my teeth in this industry. Originally hired as a researcher, like you mentioned, moved on to doing content production type work. And a lot of it's super fun and flashy on TV, and a lot of it's sort of nuts and bolts TV, research, dig into the numbers, dig into the video type work too. But look, if you're a sports fan like the three of us are, if you love football the way that the three of us do, it is kind of a dream job, to be totally honest with you. I've been there for more than 10 years now, which is pretty wild to say and hear. But going back to the Mike and Mike days, I've been along for the ride, and it's a job that, as you might imagine, I actually enjoy waking up to every single day, even though that wake up for me is 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I cannot imagine that with 3 a.m. But anyway, I'm sure you get used to it after a while. I know he's not there anymore, but we had on, I think, when was it, Ben? Like April or so? We maybe March timeframe. We had Jason Romano on Nat Sports Spectrum. He was on as well. We didn't mention you by name at that particular time, of course, but he obviously, I know you and him probably go back a bit of time too as well.
Yeah, he's one of the good guys. He and I intersected on Mike and Mike for like the last 2 years, I want to say, like 2017, 18-ish, but a great guy, great man of the faith, and someone that I still stay in touch with, saw at the Super Bowl, and one of the all-time good guys in this industry.
Yeah. And Hembo, I mean, we've had Justin Marion on, the son of Sean Marion, Merriman. He's going to high school right now. I say that to say, I see your beautiful family, man. I think you got 2 daughters and a little boy. How funny is it going to be as they get older? Because they're young now. They kind of know what daddy does, but they don't. As they get older, they're going to be like, Daddy, why do people keep coming up to you? Why they calling you Hembo? Like, what? Like, are you looking forward to having those conversations with them, saying, listen, I know I'm just daddy, but daddy does things that people like,
So I'm going to probably be less flattered than I hope, which is to say, I am guessing that my daughters are primarily going to be embarrassed because I act this way, because people, at least to some extent, know who I am. Like, all my friends think I have the coolest job. My daughters probably think I'm the world's biggest dork. There's obviously nothing that I can do that they're going to like. And especially when they see me on TV, they're going to think that's weird. On occasion, when they're homesick or something from daycare, something of that nature, they'll point to the TV and say, Daddy, Dad, whatever the case may be. But right now, that's only a minor inconvenience in their life. As they get older, I'm sure they'll learn to resent me more and more for it.
Yeah, I got a son and 2 daughters myself. I mean, we only cool if we can meet their demands. My daughter plays basketball, and it's always, Daddy, can you get this person? And I said, no, Daddy, I don't got juice like that. And she was like, so what's the point? If I can't get the things that I need when I need them, I say, well, I think I do a pretty good job of, I don't know, providing and protecting, things like that. Like, no. I want to see, I want to talk to Aja Wilson. I said, well, everybody does. I want to talk to Ms. Wilson. She's the greatest WNBA player going right now. And my son, he's diehard football, and he went to go see Kyler Murray back in the day. He was like, so do we get to go on the field? Absolutely. You could go on the field, but they got these people called security who's going to stop you at a certain point. But it's the life. It's the life, man.
It's funny you mentioned that, because one of the common misconceptions that people have is that at ESPN, we work in sports, you can just get into whatever stadium you want, sit wherever you want, as if there's like an ATM at the company where you can just go punch in your number and they're going to spit out 2 box seats for the game tonight. Like, this is not how the world works. I mean, once in a while we'll get a perk or two, right? But I'm not going to the Super Bowl and sitting on the 50-yard line because I happen to work at ESPN. I mean, who are we kidding?
No, exactly. No. I worked in minor league baseball, and it's hilarious that people thought that in minor league baseball, like, you have to pull tarp. The major league doesn't do that. Yes, we have to pull tarp in minor league baseball. There are things that in the minors you have to do that in the majors you just don't have to do.
I need to stop you because I got to share a quick story. Long before I was at ESPN, or actually not that long before I was at ESPN, I was an intern for the Reading Phillies. That's the Phillies AA affiliate. A very humbling experience. But I will say that when it comes to their 7th inning vegetable race, definitively I'm the fastest tomato that they have ever had in the history of the franchise. Baseball players.
So I actually interned myself. Not
wait, hold on, Hembo got some friends he done told that to. So I'm the fastest tomato they ever had documented. Go to their statistician. No, listen, I'm calling it right now. The freeze for the Atlanta Braves, he races a fan. Listen, Braves, get Hembo down there to race the freeze. I can see Hembo winning and looking back at the freeze like, bro, I'm a different athlete, G. I used to do this for real. I did this way before. I had to run in a tomato. You just got on a tight suit. That's all you doing. You ain't doing that.
He's so much more. It's such a better setup when you don't have to worry about the flopping thing on the top of my head, right? But like, look, baseball guys run 60s, football guys run 40s. I ran 6'7". I was a pretty good Division II middle infielder. But when I'm running around the stadium as a tomato, and all like the kids are laughing at you and whatnot, you're thinking to yourself, like, is this what my career is going to wind up being, really? Like, is this what it's going to amount to? But in all seriousness, you're just taking steps until you reach the top, and of course, we reach our greatest heights later in life. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. No, I actually interned for the Richmond Flying Squirrels back in the day. So they and Reading used to be in the same, I believe, at one point. So.
Eastern League, that's right.
Yes,
maybe we would have raced each other in another life.
In another life. Well, I was not part of that.
And I would have loved that. And Smitty would have been like, you remember that time you raced this squirrel? Yeah, that was me.
Ours was the nut race. Ours was nuts. It was like walnut, peanut, the almond, the cashew, etc. Okay, people don't want to hear about all this. Let's get to what people want to hear. So I'll start with Kyler Murray, since Ben brought up Kyler Murray. Hembo, we just talked about this on our show. Last 2 weeks, we've done tiers for the AFC and the NFC going into kind of 2025. A very loose tier, like everything from Super Bowl contender to bad teams. But to end the show last week, we said between Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence, those are 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, that have a very big 2025 ahead of it. There is no guarantee, I think, either of those guys are on their teams after next year. Do you agree or disagree? Like, are your guys for quarterback-wise that are set up for a pretty big 2025 around the league? And if they're not successful, they might be gone.
That's really good. It's a good question. I like the way that you framed it. And Kyler Murray, is a fairly fascinating figure because that's a team that Vegas likes a lot more than the national consensus do. The Cardinals are a team that it seems to me, the smart people, the people that know, think could actually be a little bit noisy in the NFC West. Now, I happen to think that the defense is still maybe a little bit too ordinary to be a playoff team, but we have seen Kyler Murray reach fairly high highs in the NFL. And even though I'm not a huge fan, Jonathan Gannon at least does seem to have everyone rowing in the right direction in Arizona. There's obviously a lot on Kyler's plate, but we at least have some proof of concept over a durable period of time that says, yeah, I'm a tier 2 if I'm healthy and playing reasonably well. He's always, as you well know, a great fantasy option because he runs the ball somewhat proficiently. Trevor Lawrence is arguably the most fascinating player in the entire sport this season for any number of obvious reasons. But this is the guy who, as a prospect, as you guys well know, compared favorably to Andrew Luck, compared favorably to John Elway, compared favorably to Peyton Manning. And so far, he has been, with the exception of really one season, something of a dud. And what would concern me most if I were a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars or someone that's hyped up Trevor Lawrence since his college days is that there's not that much left in his bag. And the reason I'd be concerned about that is because he's not demonstrated the kind of linear aptitude that you would hope or expect from a player that talented. And when you're getting all these coaches fired, at some point, you're the common denominator. And I'm not suggesting he's a coach killer, but he's obviously run through any number of them throughout his career already. And you could even credibly argue that the Jacksonville Jaguars have done a relatively good job of building different infrastructures around him in which he could or should have succeeded. And obviously, we saw them not only win a playoff game, but play fairly competitively against the Chiefs in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and how far the mighty have fallen. I'm curious on your perspective on him because I'm a numbers guy, as you well know, and the numbers in his case obviously haven't reached the extent to which we thought they would, at least in terms of high highs. But to me, mechanically, like as a quarterback guy, when I talk to quarterback guys about him, I don't understand. Like he's always spraying the ball. There are so many overthrows. He seems to me to be such a long strider. And the comp that I'll make, because my favorite sport is baseball, is he going to be one of those pitchers who 5, 6, 7 years into his career, he's still a 2, he's still a 3, he's not an ace, and you just wonder aloud, why aren't you better? I think Trevor Lawrence mechanically still leaves a lot to be desired, and if Liam Cohen's going to get the most out of him, if they're going to return to the playoffs, he's going to have to streamline his mechanics, because right now I see a pitcher who's just walking way too many hitters, for lack of a better term.
Okay, even sticking with that, Hembo, Brian Schottenheimer, who was on nobody's head coaching list but the Dallas Cowboys, no one was going to hire him, and they did it. He came out publicly and said he thinks that Dak Prescott is still a developmental quarterback. Do you think that is true, or do you see that in a guy like Trevor Lawrence, just far in his career, is he still developmental?
So I mean, we're all developmental. I'm a developmental researcher. You're a developmental podcast host. Dak Prescott is a developmental quarterback, but so is Tom Brady until he retires. So is Aaron Rodgers. We are all developmental. I happen not to like the word choice because obviously developmental infers he's not reached his potential, infers he's not lived up to the hype, infers he's a far younger player, a far younger quarterback than he actually is. I don't like the term developmental. I think it was an accidental slap in the face, even though I understand what Shoddy was trying to say. I just think he did so unsuccessfully. As it relates to Dak Prescott specifically, what's going to determine the outcome in Dallas has very little to do with him. It's going to be, can they stop anybody? The last season, they were outrushed by 626 yards. It was the third worst margin of that kind. You tell me how physical they're going to be on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I'll tell you how good they're going to be. That team last year ranked 31st in the league in EPA on early down runs. How good are they going to be there? Are they going to be in 2nd and 9 all the time? Because they don't have the running backs that you like. I mean, it's a very ordinary running back room and a proven offensive line. So I think Dak Prescott has demonstrated that he's a product of his environment. You give him star wide receivers, a good running game to prop him up, an excellent offensive line. We've seen him play phenomenally well, at least in the regular season, mostly against ordinary competition. But I still think Dak Prescott's a fringe top 10 quarterback if things around him are right. He's a quarterback you can win with. What I don't expect from Dak Prescott this year is to be someone who takes an ordinary team and makes them an extraordinary team. There's only half a dozen or so quarterbacks in the league right now that can do that. And Dak Prescott, in my judgment at least, is definitively not among them.
Now, Hembo, you're a researcher, you're a statistician. I remember when I was in the National Football League and coaches used to say, listen, pretty soon, man, it's gonna be a numbers game from the numbers guys. They used to tell us those guys that's punching them numbers, understanding what's going on, why third down efficiency is this, why this guy's better on this down. It's got to make you feel good knowing that the guys who used to be in the back of the meeting room that no one called on, they got real seats in these meeting rooms saying, look, y'all trying to make money, kind of like Moneyball of football, but it's working. That way you ain't trying to make a player who's not something fit something on game day.
Mm-hmm. It's a well-made point. And I would respond this way. I still do the very best I can to understand my place in the cosmos, which is to say the guys that are on the field are the ones that matter the most. It's them, then it's the coaches, and then it's the analysts. All the analysts can do is provide the information, and the coaches and the players can then disseminate it. The best organizations, as you well know, are those that have those stratified stacks where everyone is rowing in the same direction. Everyone's in the same silo, to absolutely butcher metaphors and analogies. The point is that if you have a head coach who doesn't see eye to eye with the front office because of a philosophical difference or because of analytical animosity or anything of that kind, you're not going to reach your ceiling. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, as you guys know. My team happens to do a great job of that. The GM has a very clear football philosophy that he passes down to the coaching staff, regardless of who that coach is. And in this case, or in the case of last season, that coaching staff did an outstanding job of imparting that wisdom, that knowledge on the rosters, in particular the offense in that case, because Sirianni, as you guys know, is an offensive guy. And what you see is an absolute wagon that blew out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The Eagles have such good organizational structure from that standpoint. But the information is key. The information is critical. And if you're operating at an analytical disadvantage, it's obvious on the field. The very worst organizations in the NFL have to build up to that. The New York Giants still haven't caught up from the fact that Dave Gettleman once decided to make it public that they got computers for the first time. This was like 10 years ago. Like, what are you kidding? Like, you got to be smarter than that. You got to be better than that. So people like me are smart, but they don't necessarily have the ability to make things happen on the field. So you need a combination of eye test and numbers, of course, and the best organizations are those for which those can intersect intelligently.
I was going to go here, but I'll save this for my next question. You just brought up Dave Gettleman. So we are both NFC South compadres here. I'm in North Carolina. Ben is in Georgia. So you have a Falcons fan and a Panthers fan in this podcast. Do you think so Ben, I'll let you kind of back this. So Ben's over here telling me that he wants me to believe that in the state of Georgia, there are radio hosts in Georgia saying the Falcons are going to stink again and the Panthers have a shot at winning this division. I don't think that's correct. What he's saying, he hates to say this as a Falcons fan because
you think I want to tell you that I can't.
I don't believe you. Okay, Hembo.
I'm going to different stations going. Wait a minute.
Do you think the NFC South?
Turn it off.
We know this, but the NFC South stinks. We know this, and the Saints they're irrelevant. The Bucks and the Falcons and Panthers. Who do you think is going to have a better season with Michael Penix, Bryce Young, both kind of coming into their own this year? And do you see either of them having a shot at unseating the Bucks this year?
A shot, yes. It's an outside shot, but it's a shot nonetheless. I think what the Bucks have done, Jason Light's a really good executive. And what he has done a great job of is building a high floor, which is to say he's a good roster builder. He's a good roster constructor. I don't think without Tom Brady he's going to win another championship. But that's a 9 or 10 win team year over year because he has built such a solid infrastructure. Their player depth people are good. They draft fairly well. They prioritize the right stuff. And obviously they caught lightning in a bottle with Baker Mayfield for so cheap. And that contract enables them to improve the rest of their roster. The Saints, you're exactly right. I wouldn't describe them as irrelevant, but I would describe them as being the team likeliest to finish with the first pick in the draft. I mean, they might be so bad that they are relevant, which is to say maybe Arch will join Archie Manning as an eventual Saints quarterback. All that to say, I do think that you have it characterized correctly in that the Panthers and the Falcons are the sort of fascinating teams in between that are very likely to be jockeying for, obviously who finishes second in the division and thus who has a chance to win the wild card. The Falcons are better. I think the Falcons have a clearer path to finishing second in that division or even have an outside chance of winning it because of Michael Penix's arm talent. He can hum it, guys. His game against Washington last year was one of the most impressive arm talent games I saw. But as you guys well know, he is built like a vase. I mean, he's extremely fragile. Every year in college, 3 years in a row, season-ending injuries. And it's very difficult for me to imagine him withstanding the rigors of a 17-game season in that environment, even though they have Kirk Cousins. Who's to say if he's even going to be on the roster? I do think the Carolina Panthers offer some more promise because Dave Canales demonstrated last year he's a really good coach. He's a more with less coach. They're not going to stop anybody. But if Bryce Young can bottle up what we saw the last month or so, last 6 weeks when he played better than I could have ever imagined him playing after what he looked like the year before, that could be some of that scratches to 8 or 9 wins and creates an opportunity to play meaningful games the last week or two of the season. I like what they did this offseason. Generally speaking, I like their draft. But I'm going to say that if you ask me to flip a coin and break the tie, I'll take the Falcons because I have more faith that their passing offense is going to be better because their quarterback can just reach way more blades of grass for us, as basic, as reductive as that might sound. And even though I think Terry Fontenot is an awful GM, I think he's done terrible thing after terrible thing. The present day roster, the 2025 roster, might not show that as much as the 26, 27, and 28 rosters based on some of the decisions that he's made both in terms of what they've done contractually with some guys and punting on future draft capital for short-term gains.
That's fair. My next question, getting out of the NFC South, I had to get that in there as a NFC South guy. You're a numbers guy, so you were the perfect person to ask about this. What the heck is going on with Shamar Stewart in Cincinnati? I mean, because Cincinnati they've had this cheap label about them for so long, and they tried to tell us that, look, guys, look over here. We paid Jamar. We paid T. Higgins. Look over here. Look what we're doing. We made Joe happy. We paid Joe Burrow so much money. We had to license our own stadium rights because we are so – okay, so you're a numbers guy. I'll give the floor to you. Shamar Stewart and even Trey Henderson as well. Like, what is going on, and what is this clause that Shamar Stewart keeps referring to?
I don't have that much interest in going through the nature of the contract language at the risk of wanting to take my own life. But suffice it to say that this is as boring, as granular, as attention to detail-y as anything like you would imagine happening in the summer. It's very similar to what the Bears went through with Roquan Smith, you might recall, where it's bizarre, kind of like granular contract language that should be decided before the rookie and his agent walk into the room. So these are things that I think will eventually be resolved. And if it were any other team, we wouldn't much care. But you hit the nail on the head. It's the Bengals. And so we do care. The Bengals are in as unique and as bizarre a position as any team in the sport, because we just witnessed Joe Burrow have an MVP caliber quarterback season in a 9-8 roster. We just saw Jamar Chase win the Triple Crown on a team that scored 33 points more times in losses than any in the history of football. We saw Joe Burrow do that behind the 32nd ranked offensive line when it comes to pass protection. And the only thing propping up their defense was Trey Hendrickson. And he's being paid like he's a Division II defensive end. And of course, he is the sack champion, leads the NFL in sacks across the last 2 seasons, should be paid like it. We all know this. My personal opinion is that they team built incorrectly when they decided to pay T. Higgins. To me, that was a Joe Burrow appeasement and an unserious team building strategy. Correct me if I'm wrong. The whole point of having a Hall of Fame quarterback, which I think Joe Burrow could potentially be, is that you can do more with less, that you can maximize those around you, that you can win in spite of. What you do is what Kansas City has done, and what you do is invest all your resources into your defense and to some extent your offensive line, and you improve the rest of your offense because your quarterback is a force multiplier. You can't let Jamar Chase walk out of that door because he's a potential Hall of Famer too. But you should basically devote all of your other resources, aside from Burrow and Chase, into other places, namely the defense, making sure your secondary isn't leaky, making sure your pass rush can get home with 4, making sure you're not going to allow 6 yards of carry because the interior, the spine of your defense, is stout enough. Instead, they built a 7-on-7 team, and to me, paying T. Higgins was a grave mistake. They're going to pay for that one. They would have been way better off letting him walk or getting some sort of trade compensation, and there would have been a team willing to give them a high 2 or a late 1 in order to get that, you best believe. And I think that will wind up being an enormous mistake, because having 2 receivers that good when you have Joe Burrow as your quarterback candidly is kind of a waste if the rest of your roster is what the rest of your roster is.
All right, Hembo, 2-part question for me, man. And we're going to try to let you get back to it. One football, one baseball, because I saw what you said recently. With all these talks about quarterbacks, we know that, quote, the best quarterback in football plays is Kansas City. Is the NFL ready for the potential best quarterback in the NFL to play for Philly, whether they like it or not, because of what he's doing? And you talked about my guy, Jac Caglianone from my alma mater. I know he only swings for the fences. Is he more, I hate to do the comparisons, is he more Aaron Judge or Pete Alonso the way he attacks baseballs?
Look, I can honestly tell you, that's the first 2-part question I've ever gotten involving Jalen Hurts and Jac Caglianone. So I'm glad I was able to check that off my list. I'll start with Jalen Hurts. I want to make sure that I articulate this properly, because the commentary around Jalen Hurts is so irresponsible and so misconstrued. Jalen Hurts is not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. He is not. Like, if you were to neutralize the context, he'd be the 5th pick at the earliest when it came to where you'd redraft the league. You might even take Justin Herbert or Jaden Daniels ahead of him. But life isn't lived in a vacuum. For what the Eagles do, he's the perfect quarterback and has demonstrated that he's a big game quarterback, because he is not only so astute in the pass game and has improved so much when it comes to his decision making and his accuracy, but also he raises the floor of your offense because he's so proficient in the run game, and the tush push is unstoppable. He's the best quarterback in the NFC, for my money, and the perfect quarterback to take the Eagles back to the Super Bowl. I think they're going back again, in part because he's advanced so much. As it relates to Jac Caglianone, I don't think either of those comps that you made are the right ones. I see someone who rhymes more with Matt Olson. Jac Caglianone's, I think, a little bit less boomer bust than people are imagining. I've seen him compared to Joey Gallo, which I don't like because he has more hit. I've seen him compared to Adam Dunn, which I don't like because he has less walk. In the end, he hits the ball so hard, and he's going to chase some, but the chase isn't as concerning when the bat's a ball and the hand-eye coordination is as good as his is. And it's like, it's average hit. Like it's a 250, it's a 240, it's a 260 batting average. That combined with the power that he has demonstrated is a really additive piece in any lineup. So I actually think he's a little bit higher floor than people are imagining because he's not going to strike out 200 times a season. I think you're looking at a guy who hits between 240 and 260, 35 to 40 bombs, right? 150 strikeouts, not 200 strikeouts, with an on-base percentage in the mid-300s and OPS that touches 9 in his prime. He's a really good hitter. I think he's going to be an awesome player for the Royals. It's a huge ballpark, so we might see kind of underinflated home run totals, but I think you're going to see him be really additive and potentially be one of the best power hitters they've ever had. And of course, in their case, that's not saying much.
Yeah. All right. Well, last one from me as we're going to let you get back to it here. Two-part question for me as well to kind of finish things out. I'll start with this. Going forward into the 2025 NFL season, I'll kind of give you the floor. Who is going to be what are some storylines you're watching as we approach training camp, as we watch the NFL season in 2025, kind of start with training camp here in about a month and a half? Where are you going? Where are your eyes going to be peeled? Obviously, everyone, the Eagles, sure. The Saints, we know are going to stink, as you mentioned. But where are you watching for this 2025 season? Some storylines that stick out to you.
Yeah, I'll give you two. The first of which is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going to steal all the headlines. But I don't know that they're done doing stuff. TJ Watt is obviously disgruntled because of his lack of new deal. And I think he has the right to be. This is his last big shot at a payday. And it's also a very ordinary wide receiver room. They have one guy. It's DK Metcalf. And as you well know, Ben, I mean, all he does is run verts. He's really good at it. But he doesn't have much of a route tree to speak of. He doesn't do the kind of stuff that Aaron Rodgers majors in. And so part of me wonders if they might consider not necessarily trading TJ Watt for a wide receiver, but I don't think the receiving room right now in Pittsburgh is going to be the receiving room that we see in week one. And of course, if they're able to add without subtracting too much from their present day roster, that might make me feel a little bit better about Pittsburgh having we'll call it, meaningful chance to advance in the playoffs, which is something they obviously have not done, which is one of the biggest reasons why Aaron Rodgers is there. So I'll give you one more, but I want you to quickly react to that one, whether or not Pittsburgh might consider adding a receiver between now and week one.
Ben?
I think they have to. I mean, because everybody want to make this big thing. Yeah, we knew George Pickens was going to be out of town. Okay. Well, now who you got? DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth? I mean, his name is escaping me right now. Allen.
Keenan Allen.
There's a reason for it. There's a reason that name is escaping me right now.
Keenan Allen to me would be a great addition because as much as I love DK Metcalf and he look like an action figure, he is the one. He is very, very much, Dez Bryant in his prime. Dez Bryant all he ran was the deep digs. Now you got to have a guy in the slot, Hembo, as you know. Guys on the outside, they make the big play, but who gonna move the chains on the inside? You better add, because I like Pat Freiermuth, but him and DK, it's gonna be a long season because you might have to change up your offense for what Aaron Rodgers may or may not like in it. So I think it's a lot more to that situation. Congratulations on getting married, Aaron Rodgers. Congratulations. Welcome to the side of marriage. It's a beautiful thing. But they want you to be the Aaron Rodgers of old, and outside of being older, I don't think that's realistic at this point.
The second storyline I wrote down, and I'll kick this one over to you, is J.J. McCarthy. I mean, what a fascinating science experiment this is going to be. Vikings, the only team to throw 30 touchdown passes in each of the last 3 seasons. That's how good Kevin O'Connell is at his job. I think it's the best roster in the NFC aside from Philly. If you told me that J.J. McCarthy is somewhere between QB 10 and 15 this year, just for example, that seems to be in the NFC Championship game. So I think that roster is that good, and he's that much of an X factor. What say you?
I would say this. The only disservice they give JJ McCarthy this year is they making that young man go back-to-back games overseas. I do not like that. I do not agree with that. But if you got to have your essentially your second year is essentially your first year because you got hurt, I think you could do a lot worse than Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. They're while everybody's going to talk about their offense, their defense can still. And Harrison Smith is still making plays in the National Football League. It's like Harrison Smith been there like 30 years, and he's still doing it. He's still gonna make plays. Listen. I like them purple people eaters. I'm looking forward to watching that young man get out there and do it. And like I said, the last thing you want is a team that you didn't see being on the rise. The Eagles are the class of the NFC. They might be the class of the NFL right now. The Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion, are very, very dangerous because you don't know what you're going to get from JJ. But if he is, like you say, middle of the road in the NFL, wins a lot of games. You don't got to be top five because the top five guys can't beat two guys. And that would be Jalen, and that would be, Patrick Mahomes. So if you can't beat them two, you battling for second or third anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. They could be first, they could be fourth in their division. It all hinges on JJ McCarthy. I totally agree. No, nothing more to be said there. All right, Hembo, my second part, I'll get you out of here on this. We like to we like to let our guests breathe and kind of take where you want to go. So give us something going out the door for us, for our listeners, for NFL fans. What is something that we're not talking about enough, something that's not getting a lot of storyline, something that you personally think should be talked about more as we head into 2025 season, training camp time, and into the National Football League?
Sacks are a quarterback stat. One of my favorite proxies to judge quarterback play and quarterback on-timeness and quarterback decision-making and quarterback blitz diagnosis and coverage recognition is sack rate and pressure to sack rate. It sounds super not sexy. It's not the kind of thing that you want to go on TV and spout because you're not going to get aggregated and be seen by 1.5 million people. But smart people around football, analysts of that kind, know that sacks have become a quarterback stat, and we have much better ways to control for offensive line quality than just to count up the number of times that quarterback his butt was on the ground. That to me is an incredibly under-discussed portion of quarterback play. Completion percentage on the other side of the coin is an overrated way to do it. And so if you want to know how discerning a quarterback is, how successful he is drop back to drop back, you can do a lot worse than looking at the percentage of times he drops back and is sacked or the number of times that he is pressured that result in a sack. So these are things that are obviously big picture quarterback discussions that you and I can have another time. But when you're evaluating a quarterback, do better. Don't just look at the number of times he was sacked and assume those are on the offensive line. Ben, those are things for which you have to watch every single play because every sack tells a story, and not all sacks are created equal. There are any number of quarterbacks in the sport right now that take too many of them, and there are many quarterbacks like Josh Allen last year who improved in so many meaningful ways. It's a great way to sustain a drive because sacks are drive killers, especially early down sacks. So as you're watching football this year, as you're evaluating quarterbacks this year, just keep that in mind.
Hembo coming with them numbers. The only number that used to stand out to us when I played was they would say, I want y'all to see how fast the quarterback get off the ground when he get hit in the first quarter compared to the fourth quarter. And we didn't think that kind of stuff mattered, Hembo, right? And they said, but here's the thing. I want you to see how many people he had to wait to get off him to get off in the fourth quarter because I got to release 600 pounds. Then I got to get up. I'm telling you, when you start talking about the quarterback position, don't be box score watchers. There's so much that goes on. How many times, Hembo, do you watch a game and you say you can't take that sack? Sometimes you're gonna get it. There's nothing, but sometimes you cannot. That starts in college. Because if you learn how to not take sacks in college, that's the carryover I want in the NFL. A guy who understands, hey man, I can't take that sack. Why? Because man, that's the difference in winning and losing. 4 or 5 yards will win you or lose you a game.
Correct.
Ask these kickers. Just ask the kickers.
Retweet.
Well, Hembo has been our guest today here on Winning the Division. Hembo, tell the people where they can find you on social media. You have some best-selling author books out with Greeny as well. Get your number, got your answers, got your legends, etc. Tell us where it can find you.
And you can follow me on social media at Paul Hembo. You'll see my work on Get Up every morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Greeny and I have authored 2 books, Got Your Number, Got Your Legends, and as you mentioned, our third, Got Your Legends comes out in September. We have identified the Mount Rushmore for all 124 franchises in North American major sports. You're gonna love it.
I'm looking forward to see that one. Somebody's gonna be here. You're not gonna make. If you think you're gonna be on, the Mount Rushmore, you're probably number 5 or number 2. But it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it's just good to be considered. You ain't gonna always be on the Mount Rushmore. So you got 4. No matter. So you can already say I'm supposed to be number 5. Just say.
That's right.
We'll have to have you and Greeny on in September when it comes out, and we'll talk about it more and kind of get a special. We'll have another episode. We'll try to get Greeny on with you next time, and then we can hit that book in September when it comes out, and we can definitely do a deep dive for sure.
Later, guys.
All right. See you. And that was Hembo. Paul Hembo at ESPN, the great Paul Hembo with Mike Greenberg, and been such a good time having Hembo on. We enjoyed that time with him. Ben, as we continue to go through the rest of the
no, I'm gonna do this every time. No, people, let me tell y'all something. Smitty is a humble dude, right? And I appreciate that by Smitty, man. Smitty can get him. Listen to me. I know Smitty has a background in sales. With Smitty, for those of you who don't know, Smitty hones in on certain people. And certain people go, all right, we ain't get him, it's cool. There are certain people, Smitty be like, look, we gonna get this dude. Why? Because listen, if Smitty get your information, you gonna get got. Because he gonna run you down. And I appreciate that. Hembo, I appreciate Hembo kind of opening up to us, man, telling stories about being a running tomato. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's the part. And I'm gonna keep telling you this, Smitty. When we share similar personal lives, no matter what backgrounds we have, no matter what job we have, it's easy. Married, children. It's like that stuff, because who we really are is what we take care of so that we can come on here. But Hembo, man, I appreciate him coming on, man. I mean, it's great. And look, I've never heard an answer like that. When he said, no, we all developmental. Like every last one of us. And because he said, I know what Shotty was trying to say. What Shotty needs to know, when you the head coach, misinterpretation is going to happen way more than interpretation. But, hey, man, go ahead. What you were saying, man. Great get with Hembo, man. I mean, hey, he's been through a lot from greening to now. I mean, Mike and Mike, that's a long time, man. That's been the business a minute. To go from a running tomato to what he's doing now, the man, listen, like I've been telling you, Smitty, we just stacking. We just stacking these bricks every day. And pretty soon we're gonna have a real nice monument. People gonna like, what's that? Oh, that will be winning the division. We got a brick and mortar now. We just got studios and everything.
Let me hit you with some transactions that just broke here as we kind of sign off, and we on the special episode here of winning the division. Just some latest news around the league, and just kind of just some last minute got things that just kind of came out here. We talked about Shamar Stewart already. So let's start with Tom Brady getting unveiled a statue on August 8th in New England.
I was about to say, I mean, I guess they waited on him to not be playing anymore. And this is what they asked him too, though, Smith. They said, listen, Tom, you're not coming back, right? No, you're not going to come back, right? Yeah, because we don't want you to come back on another NFC team and then you end up beating us. You know, Jalen Hurts get hurt, you got to go play for, you know what I'm saying? But hey, I mean, is it gonna be the let's go pose? Like, what's gonna be the pose?
Your guess is as good as mine. DJ Humphries, offensive tackle, veteran offensive tackle, signs with the LA Rams.
Okay, I mean, all right, DJ, what, Ole Miss guy? If I'm not mistaken,
you're correct.
I mean,
you are correct.
Play for Arizona, play for Houston. Now he's out. Listen, the Rams slowly but surely putting a nice little roster together. I'm telling you, NFC West. I know everybody want to make about Brock Purdy his money and George Kittle his money and Fred Warner his money and the fullback in his money. Y'all better watch out for them Rams, man, because they got Devontae Adams and they got a quarterback that can get him the rock. And it's not, and I guarantee you, Devontae Adams will not be living in a Matthew Stafford's home. He's gonna get his own apartment or whatever he's gonna be living. All right.
Pete Carroll praises Ashton Jeanty at minicamp, saying he's one of the most coachable players he's ever seen.
I mean, yeah. I mean, did you see him at Boise State? Did you see the way he's running the football, being the top running back, in the country. I know that everybody going to make it about Chip Kelly and telling him to change his stance. We knew that he was going to be asked to change his stance. We get it. But sometimes if you are Chip Kelly, sometimes you just make corrections just because. There's nothing. If you want to stand straight up, Jahmyr Gibbs literally stands straight up. It just stands there. I mean, come on, man. But, hey, I'm loving everything I'm hearing about Ashton Jeanty, and I think Ashton Jeanty does more for the running back position, not just professionally, but collegially, because he went to Boise State. He didn't go. He wasn't in P5. He was in G5, and he only didn't win the Heisman because of Travis Hunter. Still won the Doak Walker and Smith. I think it's top 5 paid running backs in the league because of the way he got drafted. So hey, man, get your money, young man. Go out there and make them Vegas, the Raiders way more balance on offense.
All right, last two. Sauce Gardner aims to be part of the Jets' change in culture as he is waiting on his new deal.
Sauce Gardner is about to have his own bank. Whenever he signs, I get it. Everybody signed it around him. J.C. Horn and all these guys signed around him. When this young man resigns, he's already been a 2-time first team. I think it was the first team All-Pro his first 2 years in the league. Sauce Gardner. I mean, he's Richard Sherman, but very, very fast. You know what I'm saying? Because he's long, like 6'3". But hey, I like the fact that Sauce Gardner still showed up to minicamp, still gonna come to training camp, not gonna make waves. Understand that he's one of the faces of that franchise, not named, Justin Fields, and but I like the way he's going about his business. And Smitty, hopefully they reward him, because like I said, it ain't the number, it's how big that number's gonna be, because I can see him signing for $100 million, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and then finally, Jim Irsay, the late Jim Irsay, to be inducted into the Ring of Honor for the Indianapolis Colts during the season opener.
Listen, super duper excited for the Irsay family. I know all 3 of his daughters are gonna take over ownership. Irsay's goal was to make Indy a football town, a football city. And he did. He wanted to make Indy respectable. He wanted to make Indy credible. And he wanted to make Indy a team, that team feared. Well, when I was in the NFL, he did all that and more. I mean, obviously gone too soon, but, may he rest in peace. I mean, and him getting a statue is the least they could. I mean, going into the Ring of Honor. And I'm going to say this, people. We don't have to wait well longer to people's career. Like, put them in there while they can still sit. I know his daughters are going to really, really enjoy that, but he earned every bit of that. Yeah.
And just to follow up on that, I heard, you can comment on this if you want. I want one of the athletic podcasts that I believe it's Chase, Daniel, and Diana Rossini's podcast. They had Zach Kiefer on, who's a Indianapolis Colts writer for the Athletic. And he talked about one of the things that people aren't talking about when it comes to the Colts. Not just the Anthony Richardson, obviously news now, and obviously Jimmy Irsay's death, but the daughter who's going to be main control, the one who is the most control, I should say, as far as ownership. She, for the last long while, has been on the sidelines. She has headphones on and she's just listening to the play calls and kind of listening to the game, and kind of wants to just feel people out and see who's, just kind of have a feel of the organization. And he said, don't be surprised to see her run things a little differently than her dad did. And there could be some changes afoot when it comes to, apparently there are some people around Jim Irsay, in the owner's box who are apparently no longer there. Like there's certain changes that his daughter is making. So come to say, because people, so here's my question to you. People are just assuming that the Indianapolis Colts, Chris Ballard, Shane Steichen might be out of a job this year, depending on how they do. But this is now a new ownership.
Yes.
So
yes,
we can't be quick to assume we know what's going to happen just because their season either is really good or really bad.
Well, the thing is, right? Well, Smitty, listen, all right, Smitty, your dad owns, your dad's on the Panthers, and he says, hey, I'm finna, now my son is gonna do it. The biggest misconception about anything is, here's the thing, how can she do it like her dad do it? She wasn't in those meetings. She don't know how he went about, dealing with the GMs and the front office and all the established people. No, my goal is to put my imprint on this organization and people adjust. And I think what people really be saying is she going to come through and disrupt things? Yes and no. Yes, she's going to disrupt things because just because Irsay did her dad did stuff a certain way, she might not see it that way. I don't really see it that way. Is the NFL the same when her daddy first bought the coach it is now? No. Are the players the same? No. Is the exposure the same? No. So I'm happy that these type of reports come out, Smitty, because it's like this. Smitty, you just announced the soccer tournament that they do. If they come to you and say, Smitty, we want to make you over the whole tournament, are you just gonna come in and say, okay, and I'm gonna let you guys do it, and you're gonna say, hey, Smitty, what would you like to change? What would you like to see? What would you like to do? And that's not necessarily messing things up. That could be getting things right. There's always things you could do better, more efficient. But I'm happy for her. I'm happy that she's saying, look, I'm the daughter of Jim Irsay, but this is gonna be my show. Me and my sisters, by the way. It's not gonna just be me, but it's gonna be my two sisters. And I think it's great that it's gonna be all three of them because now you got three different perspectives. You got three ways of looking at it. But they're all listen, the goal is to win. And the goal is to win consistently so you can win the Super Bowl. So I'm pretty sure she's not going to say, hey, man, let's switch up our color scheme. Let's switch up our location. No, how can I make this thing better for the staff, for the coaches, for the players, for the fans? And I believe she's going to do that. I'm looking forward to seeing her do that.
Yep. Well, as I said at the top, this has been Winning the Division, episode number 46, right at 46 minutes, ironically. Remember, let us know how we're doing. Rate, review, and subscribe. Keep Pounding Podcast Network, Fans First Sports Network, Tobacco Road Sports Radio, YouTube. We'll be doing a mailbag here shortly, answering fan questions, just all mailbag episode, kind of what you guys want to talk about. Send those questions in to us. You can add both of us on X, on Instagram, Facebook. You can reach out to us however you feel comfortable, and we're going to have a mailbag episode here soon, so watch out for that. Division previews for 2025 season will be coming shortly. We're going to start those in July /August as we get kind of closer to training camp and for 2025. Kind of a different format. I hope you guys like it. Excited to unveil that for you guys. And as always, just remember, as we have so many good guests on, again, let us know who you want to see on. We'll try to make it happen. No promises on that, but we'll try to make that happen for sure. But remember here, as always, as we say at Winning the Division, you are either winning the division or you are just in the division. For Ben Troop, I'm Ryan Smith in this special episode of Winning the Division, episode number 46. We will see you guys next time.